Well, you know, when I was in business, people wouldn't ask me pro-life or pro-choice. They wouldn't talk about that. You know, nobody, it's not like something that people talk about. It just wasn't. When you get into the world of public life or politics, then all of a sudden it does become a big issue because it's a very important issue, and it's an issue that's very close to many people's hearts. And I never really gave it much thought. I knew how I felt, but I never gave it much thought. And just like Ronald Reagan and many others changed their views on that and other things, I mean, they changed their views on so many things. Ronald Reagan, I always use him as an example because as you evolve, and especially me, because I came from such a strong business environment, and then all of a sudden I'm in the world of politics, and all of a sudden you start thinking out issues that are different. And by the way, you give up other issues that you don't think about to the same extent, meaning business issues. But Ronald Reagan was a somewhat liberal Democrat, and he became a somewhat conservative Republican he evolved over a period of years, and he became a great president, most importantly. I mean, I thought he was a great president. I thought it had a great feel. Our country had a great feel. And I thought he was a terrific guy. And I knew him, and I helped him, and I worked with him a little bit. He knew me. I think he liked me, and I liked him, but not well, but we helped him. And when it comes to pro-life, I've evolved on that. And part of it is that a friend of mine was choice. He was all the way choice. And they had this is a while ago, and they had a baby. They were going to have a baby, and he didn't want to have the baby. And the wife did very, very strongly. And they fought and fought and fought. And she won. And they had the baby, right? See? It's true. And I know it so well, and they're wonderful people, but they had the baby. And the baby turned out to be a superstar, just a superstar, an amazing child, an amazing person. And that had a huge impact on me for some reason, because this person, and whenever I see him, he says, can you imagine if I didn't have the baby? And he was very much in favor of terminating, and he didn't terminate because the wife is a strong woman, like some women are, and wanted to do it. And that had an impact on me. And there were other things too, but that had a very big impact on me. So for those folks that are pro-life, I can fully, I concur with you 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. We now turn to an issue that is near and dear to a great deal of Iowans, along with the life and the economic and the other issues. Second Amendment is very important to Iowans. We have some of the largest per capita numbers of hunters harvesting game. We also have people on the land that need to protect livestock, and those of us that live out in remote rural areas. Frankly, law enforcement's too far away to get to us in time. You've been a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, unlike New York former mayor who's flirting with maybe joining things in the race also. Talk to us about your views on the Second Amendment and gun rights.
So, Second Amendment's so important. I mean, we have, they want to chip away. Every time now they're talking about bullets. Well, we can't do with the guns. Let's take away the bullets. Let's knock out the magazines. Let's use 3 bullets in each magazine. Guess what? The bad guys are not going to use 3 bullets in the magazine. The bad guys are going to have the guns. You know, I tell the story, and I tell this story so much, and since it happened, because a lot of things have happened. It's very interesting. After Paris, my poll numbers went up like 11 points. Remember? It just went through the roof. Because people view me as the toughest on immigration, and we don't want these people coming in terms of the migration. Let's help them. Let's get the Gulf states to pay because they have plenty of money. We don't, okay? But we have to sort of maybe create some kind of a zone where they can live, a safe zone, where they can live in Syria. You see what's happening with Germany. It's a disaster. You see what's happening all over Europe. It is a disaster. We can be politically correct and say wonderful. It is a disaster that's going on in Europe. I don't even know if Europe is ever going to recover from what's happening, the decisions that are being made. At least we can't say that we have the only stupid politicians, okay? But I can't say that I'm not sure that it ever recovers. Millions of people pouring in. They should have done safe zones. And frankly, the people probably would have rather had it because, I notice when I have employees, as an example, and I pay them a lot of money and they make a good living and everything, when they retire or leave my company eventually, because they keep them for a long time, but when they make enough money, they want to go back to their home. In some cases, it's Mexico or Guatemala or different places. And they very rarely stay. As much as we love this country and we love our country, and if we were outside, we'd want to come back here. But it's amazing. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, for whatever reason, when Paris happened, a lot of things changed. 130 people gunned down by animals, by total animals. And I would give the press a hard time because they would call them these wonderful names, you know, like these one. And don't forget, they radicalize our children and our people by using the internet better than we do, and we invented the internet, right? But they'd call the leader the mastermind. Remember, they said, the mastermind hasn't been. I said, don't call him the mastermind. Call him the man with the dirty hat, the guy with the dirty hat. And he was disgusting. I mean, and they're saying, these guys, the press, the dishonest press, they're calling him the mastermind. And then you wonder why the children are radicalized. And, you know, they make them into these great characters. They killed 130 people. Now, if in that room, or if in the room in California where the 14 were killed, and other people to follow, by the way, with 130 in Paris, you have many people so gravely wounded that they're going to be dying, and they're going to lead a life that's going to be rough if they don't die. Same thing in California. The 14 people that were killed, if like you and a couple of people, were in that room in Paris or in that room in California, or one of the soldiers that was killed because there was a gun-free zone on a military base and they were all killed because they didn't have their guns. If a couple of people were there with guns to their ankle or to their waist and bullets were going in the opposite direction, I guarantee you the result would have been much, much better. Much, much better.